Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Deva, glories to you, glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Do you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
I can hear you also.
Hare Krishna. So you're welcome. Thank you, Maharaj.
Somebody chant Jai Radha Madhava.
Yes, sure. Prabhupada did.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Balava Girivarada.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Praja Jana Ranjana.
Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Praja Jana Ranjana.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Praja Jana Ranjana.
Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Praja Jana.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Jaya Radha
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Sarasatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayam Udiraye
Tato
Jaya Mudiraye.
Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashta
Astaprayeshu Apadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavata Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke.
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki
Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki.
Jai. First canto, chapter 14, text number 30. Pradyumna
Rajumna
Sarva Vrishninam
Sarvavrishina
Sukham
Sukam
Aste
Aste
Maharata
Maharata
Sukham
Sukam
I said Gambira
Gambira
Rayo
Rayo
Vayo
Nirudo
Nirudo
Vardate
Vardate
Bhagavan Uta
Uta
Pradyumna Sarva Vishnena
Pradyumna Sarva Vrishna
Sukhamaste Maharata
Sukam Aste
Maharata
Gambira Rayo Nirudo
Gambira Rayo Nirudo
Vardate Bhagavanuta
Vardate Bhagavan
Pradyumna Sarva Vishnenam
Pradyumna Sarva Vrishna
Sukham Aste Maharata
Sukam Aste Maharata
Gambira Rayo Nirudo
Gambira Rayo Nirudo
Vardate Bhagavanuta.
Vardate Bhagavanuta.
Anyone else?
Pradyumna Sarva Vrishna
Pradyumna Sarva Vishnenam
Sukam Aste Maharata
Sukham Aste Maharata
Gambira Rayo Nirudo
Gambira Rayo Nirudo
Vardate Bhagavanuta
Vardate Bhagavanuta.
Pradyumna Sarva Vrishninam
Pradyumna Sarva Vrishna
Shukamaste Maharata
Sukam Aste Maharata
Maharata
Rajunirudo
Gambira Rayo Nirudo
Padate Bhagavan Uta.
Bhargate Bhagavanita.
Else? Pradyumna,
Pradyumna,
Pradyumna, a son of Lord Krishna.
Pradyumna,
The son of Lord Krishna.
Who is his mother?
Pradyumna, the son of Lord Rukmini.
Who is the mother of Pradyumna?
Say Rukmini.
Right.
Yeah.
Sarva,
Sarva,
all.
all.
Vrishninam,
Vrishnina,
of the members of the Vrishni family.
of the members of the
Member of the Vishnu family.
Sukham,
Sukham.
happiness.
Happiness.
Aste,
Aste,
Maharata,
Maharata.
the great general.
the great general.
General.
Gambira,
Gambira.
deeply.
Deeply.
Raya,
Raya,
Thank you, sir.
dexterity.
dexterity.
Aniruddha,
Aniruddha,
Aniruddha, a grandson of Lord Krishna.
Krishna, good afternoon.
grandson of
Vardate,
Madate.
flourishing.
flourishing.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
personality of Godhead.
Personality of Godhead.
Uta,
Uta,
must.
must.
How is Pradyumna, the great general of the Vrishni family? Is he happy? And is Aniruddha, the plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead, faring well? These are questions that Yudhishthira is asking. Pradyumna and Aniruddha are also plenary expansions of the personality of Godhead, and thus they are all Vishnu Tattva. At Dwarka, Lord Vasudeva is engaged in transcendental pastimes along with his plenary expansions, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Therefore, each and every one of them can be addressed as the personality of Godhead, as it is mentioned in this connection with the name of Aniruddha. Om Gana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksuramilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please, your video is off.
Yeah, I'll turn it on in a minute.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namane Madhu Jojala Premaja Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Madhu Jojala Premaja Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Namo Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dina Tarane Rupa Nuga Viruda Apasadanta Dvanta Harane Namo Gaurakishwaraya Sachit Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Rupa Nuga Varayate Goda Virbhave Bhume Stvam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Jagannataya Te Namaha Manchakalpa Turvyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Trishe Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Now this is a very interesting section actually. It's where Arjuna has been gone for some time and Yudhishthira was getting worried and suspecting that Krishna, had left the planet, but he doesn't want to think about that. But he's also seen signs of Kali Yuga starting. So he's just asking Arjuna, about the family members, just like we would do, you would do if someone comes visiting from another country. And then you ask them, how is so-and-so, how is this devotee, how is that devotee, people you haven't seen for some time. We like to hear the news, what they're hearing, what's going on. So he's naturally concerned about the family members, but instead of directly asking about Krishna, he's asking about everyone else. Because he sees that Arjuna is not looking very happy. So we're learning something about Krishna's family in these verses. If you don't mind, we could read a few more because we're just finding out they're just asking different names. So here Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Pradyumna is the first son of Krishna and Aniruddha is the first son of Pradyumna. And I think you know the story of Pradyumna from the Krishna book. Soon after he was born, he was kidnapped. And then somehow he was swallowed by a fish, a demon. Got that fish, and when they were cutting open the fish, they found the baby. The baby grew up very fast. The female servant there was actually the wife of Pradyumna from the previous life. He was Cupid who had been burned up by Lord Shiva's anger. So it's quite an amazing thing. And here it's saying he's in Krishna's family, so he's also Vishnu Tattva. He was one of the leaders in the Dwarka army. And Aniruddha had his adventures also.
Hey, listen.
He married the daughter of Duryodhana. which created a fuss at first in the whole pastime. So this is Vasudev, Pradyumna, Sankarshan, and Aniruddha. They were all there in Dwarka. And they were also there, Lord Ramachandra, Lakshman, Bharata, and Shatrughna was also Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudev, Sankarshan. So they're special people. Those are the first expansions of Krishna, of Balaram. Balaram expands from Krishna. All these others expand from Balaram. And finally, we have Mahavishnu in the material universes. So Vishnu Mahan Sahayasya Kala Vishesho. That even the Mahavishnu, Vishnu Mahan, he's a Kala Vishesho. He's an expansion of an expansion, or portion of a portion of Krishna. So when most people that might know something, they know Vishnu. As far as I know, they don't really even know Mahavishnu. They know Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, the Vishnu within each universe, who's an expansion of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, the source of all the universes. They know that with something they don't know beyond the universe. We're getting all that information. And then the ultimate understanding is that Krishna is the source of all that. All the material universes, not only our tiny little universe, where this is the smallest universe is described, but all the universes are just emanating from the pores of Mahavishnu's body, just like sweat comes from our bodies. And they're drawn back in. While he's exhaling, the universes are coming out and expanding. Universes are getting bigger. And then when he's inhaling, the universes are getting smaller and they eventually go back into his body. So that's one day of Lord Brahma. Right now, as far as I know, it's the beginning of the second day, the second half of Brahma's life. That's the lifetime of Lord Brahma. One day of Brahma is much less. But even one day of Brahma for us is totally inconceivable. 1,000 yuga cycles. So we really can't even calculate this little tiny bit of Kali Yuga, 5,000 years that we were experiencing. But Kali Yuga is only 400,000 years. And the Dwarpa Yuga is 800,000. And the Treta Yuga is 1,600,000. And so it's a huge numbers that nobody can understand. The Vedas have this, amazing calculations. We're just reading in the third canon, calculation of time from the atoms. They have names for, like 8/360ths of a second or something, these tiny little time frames, and then also names for billions of years. They measured all that. They had ways of measuring all that. For Krishna, for Vishnu, the entire lifetime of Lord Brahma is one breath, one exhale and inhale. For Krishna, it's hardly even a blink. They have a measurement that's given in the third canon. I think it's a nimesha or something. The time it takes to blink. Now, if you blink consciously, then you might be able to perceive it. But actually, we blink so many times and we don't notice it. It happens so fast. But the gopis, they condemned Lord Brahma because while they blinked, they couldn't see Krishna. And they were angry that he gave them eyelids. And he said that he's a stupid creator because he can't see Krishna. So they were so much different than, for us, we never notice blinking or normal blinking. It's just flickering all the time. But why do we have to, devotees ask, why should we know this, Why is so much, why, a lot of so-called devotees, they want to only hear about Krishna's intimate pastimes with Radha and Krishna. But according to scripture, one cannot approach those things until he's understood the first 9 cantos. And the first 9 cantos cover all this structure of the universe and the karma and the different modes of nature, how the mind is working and how the different things. And Parikshit actually asked about all those things. The whole Bhagavatam was an arrangement that to be spoken, of course it comes from Krishna originally, but to be spoken at the time that Sukadeva spoke it 5,000 years ago. Krishna made a special arrangements that Maharaj Parikshit, while he was traveling. Now, maybe that he would become hungry and thirsty, or thirsty and tired is not something, phenomenal. But the fact that Parikshit, a great devotee and a powerful Kshatriya king, would become completely disturbed by that thirst, it's not ordinary. It was Krishna's arrangement. And that he would not understand as the sage was not just ignoring him, he was actually in trance. And that kind of trance means that the senses are not functioning, external senses. So he wouldn't hear him coming or see him coming. He's totally absorbed within. Sometimes we get upset if someone doesn't recognize us or notice us, but they may not be in that kind of a trance, but they may be distracted and not even know we're there. So we should be careful not to cultivate good relationships. That's what we're hearing here. These are family relationships. And he's actually concerned about all these personalities. Next verse is Shusenas, Chaturdesnas cha Sambo Jambavati Sutta, Anye cha Karshni Pravavara Supatra Rishabha Daya. Are the chieftain sons of Lord Krishna like Sushena, Chardeshna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, and Rishabha, along with their sons, all doing well? So he's asking about all the family members. Krishna had 16,108 wives. I don't know if we have African chiefs that have many wives, but not that many. And even if they had that many, they wouldn't have been able to live in the same house with each one of them in different houses at the same time, like Krishna. They all grew up and they had the same number of children, 10 sons each. So with great grandsons, the whole aggregate was something like 10 million family members of the Lord, like the population of New York City. The Lord is the father of all living entities who are countless in number. Therefore, only a few of them are called to associate with the Lord in his transcendental pastimes as the Lord of Dwarka on earth. It is not astonishing that the Lord maintained a visible family consisting of 10 million members. It is better to refrain from comparing the Lord's position to ours. It becomes a simple truth as soon as we understand at least a partial calculation of the Lord's transcendental position. King Yudhisthira, while inquiring about the Lord's sons and grandsons at Dwarka, mentioned only the chieftains among them, for it was impossible to remember all the names of the Lord's family members. Many of them are given in other places. But really, Yudhisthira is just trying to get an idea about Krishna. What's Krishna? You know, he doesn't want to ask directly because he's quite certain that Krishna has already left the planet. It's too painful for him to think about. So there's indirect kind of questioning, like here in America and many places, everyone I meet says, "How are you?" And it's a friendly greeting, a concern, you know, but it's not easy to answer. How are you? I mean, your body, your mind, the soul. We know what the soul is. The soul is eternal and blissful and knowledgeable. It can't be burned or cut or dried or frozen. He's not born. He can't die. That's how we really are. The body is a lump of ignorance, sharira vijajal, jitendriya teika. It's a lump of ignorance, and the senses are networks of paths leading to death. That's the body. And the mind is flickering unsteady. So sometimes we think the body's very nice, and sometimes we think it's not nice. And it's hard to get away from thinking about the body. When do I have to go to the dentist? You know, when do I have to do this? When do I have to eat? When do I have to sleep? When do I have to go to ablutions and bath? You know, depending on what age someone is, I have to go to school, have to work, have to, you know, get married. So many things in relation to the body, but we're not the body, and we're just living in it. So I was talking to a devotee yesterday. He'd also been in Japan. And in Japan, you don't ask, "How are you?" Japanese, they don't know what to say when you ask them that. You know, because they're very concerned with it, thinking what you want them to say. So if you want to know how a Japanese is, and that's something what Yudhisthira is doing here, you say, "Oh, it's really hot weather today, isn't it?" Or "It's really, this weather's not nice, isn't it?" And then if they say, "Yeah, this weather's terrible," then you know they're in a bad mood. Something's wrong. And if they say, "Oh, yes, it's wonderful, you know, it's so nice," and then you know they're in a good mood. But you don't ask them directly, "How are you?" It's like putting them on the spot. So and someone told me yesterday, Prabhupada said, "So everybody's asking me, how are you? And I don't want to waste my time, you know." Someone asked Prabhupada, "How's your health?" He said, "No, there's no such thing as good health." He said, "Everyone is going to die." So that's the fact. But still, they're concerned. So he wants to know if Krishna, you know, is Krishna still around. So he's asking about everyone else. So here's the fact that Krishna married so many. For Krishna, that's not very many. Krishna is actually the father and the grandfather and the husband of everyone. Everyone else is Prakriti, every other soul. But we fall into illusion thinking we're Purushas. But by Krishna's grace, we've been shown the light, and we know we're not these bodies. So now we have a duty to try to tell everyone else. the material energy working on Krishna's behalf is covering everybody over. So they're thinking of the body. Thinking they're young or old, or they're capable or incapable, beautiful or ugly. And all these things create more and more illusion. If we start thinking I'm very smart, or I'm very beautiful, or my race is very good, or my tribe is very good, or my religion is better than every other religion, and we become puffed up. If we think I'm no good, I'm poor, I'm ugly, nobody likes me, then we become miserable, crazy. Here in New York City, there's so many madmen. There was one beggar on the train last night. He was screaming and yelling something, and then he said, I'm going to kill myself if you don't give me money. And he'd go in between the two train cars, and somehow the door to outside was open, and he'd stick his foot and act like he's going to jump off. Finally, one guy jumped up and said, get down. And then he got down screaming and yelling, got off the train. I was thinking, my God, if he jumps off and then I didn't help him, I was thinking, how can I just grab this guy? I told someone else, a stronger guy, to grab him, you know. That guy didn't grab him, but somehow he convinced him. But this is the material world. It drives people to such a point. And for some reason or other, the karma is so bad that they don't have a place to live. They don't have food. They don't have even a brain practically. Not even to live like an animal. But somehow they live. Somehow they get, Krishna's providing food, and somehow they sleep and eat and go, you know, and excrete foul things from their body. So if Krishna could have 16,108 wives, now, like I said, there are big chiefs, big kings in Arab countries still that have hundreds of wives. And if they're rich, they can provide for the wives houses and servants and children to some extent. But they can only be with one or two at a time. And if they're with a group of them at a time, then it's not very much intimacy. If they're just with one of them, she might think she's special and the other ones will be envious. Like Maharaj Chitraketu, he had so many wives and no children. Finally, he had a son. Then he just started only being with the wife who had the son and completely ignoring the other wives. The other wives got envious and poisoned the son. So the material world is such a terrible place, you know. We don't belong here. So we have to learn, we have to hear about the spiritual world. That's what the Bhagavatam is all about. And we have to know there is a better place, you know. Nowadays, they're just telling you some other place is better. So many, like Ganachakshus are just here in America. And he gets big groups of people. They're all from Ghana, but they've somehow moved to America. He must have been thinking it's better. But the birth, death, disease, and old age is always with you. And the loneliness and, you know, all the different things that might happen. But there is really, in the material world, all are places of misery, from the highest planet to the lowest, Brahma, Bhuvana, Loka. Punarabhati Arjuna. The birth, death, disease, and always are just taking place, no matter you're from Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet. So we want to know about the spiritual world, and that's what we're getting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. And this is what we can realize by chanting the holy name and taking shelter of the spiritual master and taking shelter means following the instructions. Some may get specific instructions, but everyone has the basic instruction. Chant 16 rounds every day, follow regulated principles. Those are vows, but also, read the books. Prabhupada said so many times, all my disciples must read my books very carefully. Then we get this information. Then we can understand we're not these bodies. Many, many poets and, writers of different kinds of literature and songs and dramas, poems, they understand something, that we're not this body. They understand the material world is not a nice place, that things are temporary. And they can write very poetically about it, but they don't have an alternative. They don't have any way out. They know that you can't take your money with you. You can't. I heard that many times as a child. There's only two things that are sure in this world: and death and taxes. And you can't take it with you, no matter what you've accumulated in this life. No matter how much money you have, how many wives and children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, how many properties, how many, political offices you've won, how many number of hit songs you've had or whatever. You can't take it with you when you die. Whatever you had, you don't know what's going to happen to it. You have no control. Sometimes your relatives fight over it and lose it to the government. Sometimes the government just takes it all. But it doesn't do you any good. The hope is that if you have sons, they will do pinda, they will do the sacrifices that will help you in the next life. So if we have children that are devotees, that will definitely help us. If you're a devotee, that will help your family members for many generations, both directions. It's the best thing we can do. It's the best charity we can give. Tomorrow is Akshaya Tritiya. Everybody know what that is? What the meaning of it is? Anybody? Haribol?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Does anybody know what Akshaya Tritiya is? Anyway, it's an auspicious day for beginning things. It's said to be the day that Vasudev started speaking the Mahabharata, and Ganesh was writing it down. It's said to be the beginning day of many, many events in history. So it's said it's a good day for marriages. It's a good day for starting new projects. So I was remembering a festival Bhakti Tirtha Swami used to have every year in Gitanagari. At least the year I went, he had all the married couples like renewing their vows, their marriage vows, like starting over again, going back to, okay, we're going to stick it out, because it's not easy. So we can renew if you're married, almost everybody, when they get married, they're really happy about it and they think it's wonderful. But after a while, sometimes you get familiar, or something happens. Because we lose that friendship, we're expecting something too much from the other person when we should be giving. So we want to renew the fresh, our initiation vows, our spiritual life, any projects we're working on. Let's get really started. Let's get serious. Let's clean up this mess we have here and there, with some different quarrels between devotees. It's very frustrating when devotees, family members, because I see that in Africa, it's usually public more, but it's everywhere. We'll see some land that's just sitting there for years and years. Although all around it, there's houses. It's because the father died and the sons are fighting over it. And so while they're fighting over it in court, no one can use it. No one can sell it. Nobody else can do anything on it. So this is not nice. And when we have these things going on amongst devotees, which we do have all over, someone's trying to, they just, because sometimes they say it's in the name of the society or helping the preaching, but a lot of times it's simply personal quarrels between different devotees, which we know the Guru doesn't like that. So we want to clean it all up and focus on moving ahead. Now in West Africa, we have a lot of books. Books arrived in Nigeria, and some were sent to Ghana. They're being given out to all the temples. More books are coming to Ghana in a while, a couple different shipments. There's a big shipment of unchantings coming tomorrow. No, today or yesterday, it was supposed to land in Togo, both in French and English, unchanting the holy name. We want to give those, there's hundreds of thousands of them. We want to give those freely, talk to people, make friends work with each other, make friends with everybody, and bring people to Krishna. That's all we're trying to do, is connect with Krishna. If people want to chant Allah, 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 all right. Just please chant. Please take more time to pray. I think it's still Ramadan. I was in Rama means Rama, and spiritual happiness, and Dana means donation or charity. So I can put it in Sanskrit. It means a donation for Rama. And who knows when it originally started, that's what it was. But it's supposed to be for God. I was in Indonesia on the first day of Ramadan one time, and right across from where we were staying was a mosque, and they were having a festival, not a festival, but a big ritual. And all the people were there, and the priest was saying, stand up, bow down, stand up, pray. And then I asked, what is he saying? He was saying, this Ramadan, this is the time when we go to the mosque more, and we read the Quran more, and we pray more, and we do more charity, and we do everything better. And, and everybody was going, yeah, 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 yeah. And they were bowing down and getting up. But many people, that's not what they do, because Kali Yuga has crept in. So they're just fasting, which is a tapasya. They don't, from sunrise to sunset. But then many, they have a big feast, as soon as the sun goes down, they have it in the newspaper exactly what time. And they feast in the morning before the sun comes up. And they don't go and pray so much. It's like Ekadasi. The main thing is to pray more. Kartik. The main thing is to pray more, to do more spiritual activities, to if you can reduce your normal bodily maintenance, then you have time to pray more. We can do a pilgrimage, preach more, especially for us. Kartik means preach more, not just to only eat fruit or only eat once a day. Or I saw some devotees, they were very strict to have their Kartik fast, only eating fruit once a day, but they were fighting with each other. So that's not the purpose. Purpose is to preach more, not to be proud of fasting. So we want to, take advantage of it. It's an auspicious day somehow for that. But the main thing to do is to chant more, pray more. Those are the things we're supposed to do on the Akshaya Tirtha. Is give charity, rise early, take cold bath, all the basic things we're supposed to do anyway, but just do them more. All right, so time is flying as usual. Any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Maharaj, for blessing us today. So at this point, we're going to ask devotees if you
What
have
temple is that you're in?
Hare Krishna, what did you say, Maharaj?
Well, you're in some beautiful temple there.
Oh, no, it's just a virtual, Maharaj.
What temple is it?
I am not sure of which temple, but I just
Saturday Fabu's temple.
Looks like an ISKCON temple, but
It looks like, yeah.
but only one altar. I'm not sure. It's quite opulent. All right.
Kusha Prabhu, please unmute.
Good day, my humble obeisances. My question is in relation to the verse where it's asking how is everybody doing? And you mentioned in the course of your lecture, we should develop friendship with devotees and everybody. And we should practice spiritual activities. My question is, when somebody wants to do spiritual activity like Harinam or food for life, and authority asks him to stop, how do I understand that? Because somebody talked to me today, he wants to be doing Harinam. Authority is telling him to stop the Harinam and food for life. I said, I don't understand. So I want to understand, how do we relate with the verse of today to develop friendship with devotees? Where somebody is even saying to stop doing food for life. How does it? I don't get it.
I don't know. You'd have to know what the reason was, what the circumstances are. Right? Do you know where that was?
Yeah, that was in Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire.
Really? Well, I don't know that authority, where he got the authority to do that, because that's our mission. Right?
Yeah, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said every town and village there should be a temple. Everybody should preach. So if somebody's making effort to preach, why telling the person to stop? Which is what I don't understand.
I don't either. So we'd have to ask that, whoever did that. So somebody should report it to me because I'm the GBC. And then I could look into it.
Okay.
There have been in some countries cases where the devotees were told, but that was because of possible legal implications or something. But I don't know why somebody would be doing that, so we have to find out. That's why we need to make friendship. The statistics show the Americans who take statistics on everything, that people will join a religion for so many reasons, you know, for just Chatur Vida Bhajanti Mam, Jana Sukhatin Artaja, Arto Jagyasa Arta, you know, they're poor, they need money, they're sick. So they'll take to some religion to try to get relief. But they stay because they make friends. So we need to make friends amongst ourselves, that loving relationships. And then when we're friends, we can communicate openly, and if we have disagreements, we can actually talk about it without, you know, becoming angry and proud and hurt, and because we have to keep Krishna in the center. Krishna is the best friend of everyone. Devotee is also supposed to be, Kapila said, Surit Sarva Bhutanam, Titikshava Karunaka. He's tolerant, he's full of mercy. Titikshava Karunika. Surit Sarva Bhutanam, he's the best friend of everyone. And Sadhavak Sadhu Bhushana, he's decorated with all the qualities of the sadhu. That's a devotee. We want to become like that. We want to help everyone to become like that. So our mission should be that we're friends to work together to spread the Krishna conscious movement. That's why we're sending so many books over there. People need the books. Your preaching, your personality, it may attract people to come, but for them to stay, they have to get knowledge. For them to develop a relationship with Krishna, they have to know what is Krishna. You learn what is Krishna from the scripture, Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. Because the whole purpose is not that somebody accepts me as a leader and gives me donations, or follows, does whatever I say out of fear, but that he develops a relationship with Krishna, a loving relationship. And that, in order to love someone, you have to know them. To know them, we have to learn about them from scripture, from Krishna himself. In Bhagavad Gita, he's telling about himself. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, we're hearing about him from the great devotees who know him. Chaitanya Charitamrita, same thing. Then we can have love for Krishna. If we have love for Krishna, we can feel separation and be always looking for Krishna or trying to act in such a way to attract Krishna. So please let me know who's giving you this information and who's
Yes, Gurudev.
stopping them. Otherwise, I can't answer the question.
I'll do that.
Because we get those kind of questions all the time, and somebody's just trying to get an answer that pleases them, and they can go and put down the other person. And we want to avoid that. So we want to unite with the books. I heard they're even going to print some books, and French books in Ivory Coast. And we're getting these French chantings finally. It's a chance to really get out many hours a day on Harinam, use up our energy for dancing and chanting in public, and look to, face the people and greet them and be friendly. Someone comes to the temple, greet them, be friendly, greet them like long lost friends, which they really are, even though we never seen them before. All right. Thank you.
Yes, Gurudev.
And
Hare
you're
Krishna,
now,
Maharaj.
are you in
I
Hawaii,
have,
Fiji, or where are you?
Maharaj,
Mexico?
I have one question and a comment. My question is, from the text we read, we realize Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that Pradyumna and Niruddha, they are all plenary expansions of Krishna. Plenary expansions of Krishna means that it's Krishna. Yet we see Yudhishthira asking of their well-being. Sometimes as devotees, we assume that because the guru is understood to be not a human being, because we are advised not to consider the spiritual master as a human being. And so sometimes devotees assume that the spiritual master does not require certain human needs. I would like you to throw more light on how devotees should understand that the spiritual master, even though should not be considered as a human being, but at the same time needs certain human requirements. That's my first question. Actually, that's my question. And my comment is, you were talking about how devotees have to come together and work together in harmony, which is beautiful. But precisely there is a land issue going on in Ghana, which most devotees on this platform are not aware of, but probably eventually, I must say, devotees will know about it, because some of us cannot sit down and say it's going to lose a property. I'm not trying to bring the whole issue up this time, but the fact is that some of us will do whatever we need to do, even to the peril of our lives, to fight for Srila Prabhupada's property. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you know, if you like to just create disturbance, you're welcome to do it, but I don't know what benefit it is for anybody. Any questions on the scripture? Harinam eva kevalam. What we need is Harinam. We need more and more Harinam. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. Kalua nasteva, 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 gatir anyata. We need, it's the only way. The only way in this day and age is the holy name. The only way to achieve the highest goal. If we want to help Prabhupada's movement, we want to please Lord Chaitanya, we need to all get together and do the holy name, chant the holy name. I was involved in a disagreement which wasn't so serious many years ago with the temple president and Sankirtan devotees. And Prabhupada said, you know, if you can't work it out, then just stop talking about it and just sit down and chant Hare Krishna. Okay.
Anyone with any question, anything to say? Anadini Prabhu, please unmute.
I'd like to see all the devotees, the senior devotees in everywhere in the world, but we're concerned with West Africa, unite. How can we distribute all these books? You know, somehow or other Krishna has inspired devotees in other countries who happen to have money to give books to West Africa. And they're concerned. They want to see the books distributed. They want to see the devotees out there. They want to know about it. And let's do that. Let's get together and think, you know, how can we do that? And how can we cultivate the people who get the books? And how can we start having more and more educational programs to teach people, you know, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People believe in God, but they have no idea what God is. But he's a Supreme Person. We want to have a personal relationship. If we can't have personal relationships with each other, and we just disagree about, so many things, then we cannot have a relationship with Krishna and spiritual master. And Prabhupada has given us a very simple way to do that, is more and more Harinam, which includes book distribution. Ramaswar Prabhu asked Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, you've been saying all along so many times how Krishna consciousness will become dominant in the world and take over. How is that going to happen? He said, will there be a revolution, or will there be war, or will there be a big election, or, what's going to happen? And Prabhupada said, no, none of those things. It's just that by the Sankirtan movement, by the spreading of the holy name, and the books, the consciousness of the world will become uplifted. And it won't matter if people are Muslim or Christian or Jewish or Jain or Buddhist or atheist or African tradition, but they'll get purified. They'll want, proper society. They'll want proper government, and it will change the world. So we are, blessed to be at the pioneering stage of the Sankirtan movement, Lord Chaitanya's golden age. It just started, 1986. That's the prediction in the Puranas, that the golden age of the 10,000 years starts at that time, at the 500th anniversary of Lord Chaitanya. So it's just starting, and it's having its effect. There's a lot of uplifting spiritual activities happening. Vegetarianism all over the world, but there's also mix-up. But environmental concerns, animal rights, human rights, things that, weren't really considered so much in many countries. And more it's happening, equality. People are seeing more clearly that there's no real difference between, this tribe and that tribe, or this color and that color, or this guru and that guru, or whatever, as far as we have to work together. Everyone is a spirit soul. They're just covered over by a body. A thin layer of skin makes us look different, or a different language, but everybody's talking about the same thing. Now, the devotees in whatever language, they're talking about Krishna in the same way, and the non-devotees are talking about sense gratification the same way. Maybe a different language, but there's nothing different what they're saying. This, I saw I was at Arjuna's house one time, and he had the television on with the news. So first was the English news, and then the same news came again, but it was in Yoruba or something, and it came again, and it was in Hausa, came in 3 or 4 languages. It was the same news, the same pictures, the same thing, but just in the different languages. So that doesn't make anything different. The only difference is someone's a devotee or not a devotee. So we want to please the Supreme Lord, we want to please Guru. First thing that Bhakti Tirtha told me when I asked him, for a final message for the devotees in Africa, first thing he said was, don't quarrel amongst yourselves. And he told me he'd been going there for so many years and telling everyone not to quarrel. And every time he came back, they were still quarreling. Now, I've observed in the last years with a lot of old age, it's getting much better. And the young generation is much better. But this is the Kali Yuga, and Kali means quarrel. Kali is trying to always provoke conflict and bewilder everybody, rather than concentrate on chanting the holy name and studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. He wants to create conflict. So we fight with each other instead of preaching. So please, let's chant more. Let's get serious. Get out and chant the holy name. Everybody, young or old, children, old people, like Ganga Prabhu is doing. He's not young. He's an educated man. He could have a good job. He's had cancer surgery, spent a long time recovering, and now every day, early in the morning, he's out chanting the holy name in public. He's really setting a good example. And everybody's getting enlivened by that. And everybody, Yadunath has taken devotees all over the country, chanting the holy name and trying to light up the world. The world is in darkness and need light. The light is the holy name. The light is the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. We have those books, get them into the hands of the people and read them. Get together and read them, then go out and distribute them. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Anadi Nidanam, please unmute.
Alexander, my Lord, please, I beg to offer my humble obeisances. Can I be heard?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you very much. Bro, my question is not directly related to today's topic, but I was asked yesterday, since I'm trying to be a devotee, someone asked me this question yesterday and asked of my take, but I said I don't know, so I have to ask the authorities. So the question is, in Africa, I don't know if I will call it misconception or it's a belief that whenever a paramount chief is dead, one person has to be murdered so that the head will be buried with that chief. Why? Because since he was alive, he was served by subjects. So after the death of the chief, whatever he's going, he needs someone to serve him also. So I would like to know, is it the same in the eyes of the Vedic scriptures? Since I don't know, I've not been able to give a tangible answer to the question. And I said I will ask. So that's why I have to ask. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, but the question kind of lost me there.
Yeah, the question is-
The question was that in Africa, especially in Ghana tradition, when a high king dies, they kill somebody. They kill somebody to be serving the king in the hereafter. Because when the king was living, he had servants. So now that the king is dead, he also has to go with servants. So they kill somebody and try to bury the same person they killed with the king, assuming that the person is going to serve the king in the hereafter. So his question is there anything like that in the Vedic tradition also?
No, not at all.
I think that tradition has been stopped. Even though they act as if they're killing somebody, but they don't do that anymore. As far as I know, they used to do that. Actually, they used to, but it's been stopped. They don't do it anymore.
The Egyptians did that, like, they would kill so many to go with the king.
Yeah.
But how do they know they're going to go with them? They don't know where he's going. So, anyway, that's not at all Vedic. That's crazy. At least
right.
they're understanding that there's some future life. But if the king was going to go to heaven, then, that would be like very good. you know, he wouldn't have to worry about, there'd be plenty of, and I heard one Christian priest, he said, when you go to heaven, you have to serve. Don't think you're going to go to heaven just to enjoy. You have to serve. You go there to serve God, you know. In the Vedic culture, you pray for the person, the king or whoever it is, you know, that they can, and you do yagyas and everything, so that if they did have any sinful, you know, reactions or bad karma, that they can get past it and go to the spiritual world, go to the heavenly planets.
Hare Krishna. Tribhuvannath Prabhu, please unmute.
Guru Maharaj, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for the class. And I also want to contribute to what the devotee have said. Guru Maharaj, we are aware that sometimes when a king dies, some of his wives do want to go with him. So, well, how do you look into that today?
That's a different thing. Because the wife has been with the husband and totally dependent on the husband, and she can't stand to live without him. So it's not that every wife wanted to do that either, but some could do it. The feeling of attachment for the husband, the pain of being without their husband was worse than the fire. So they would voluntarily enter the fire, and they could do that. But it's all voluntary. And then it became something where they would force people, and then it was banned in India. It still goes on illegally because uncultured, low-class people, husband dies, they don't want to take care of the widow, so they just force her into the fire. But that's completely bogus, completely un-Vedic.
Thank you, Maharaj. Mitravinda Devi, please unmute.
And for a Vaishnav, you know,
Sorry, hold on.
wouldn't have to do that, you know, because they're going to go anyway when the time comes.
Okay, Mitravinda, please unmute.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please submit obeisances. I'll go to Prabhupada. Thank you for answering that question about, this is off topic for me, but dependency on someone told their wife recently, you're dependent on me, and when you're not dependent on me, something like this. And what you said about a Vedic wife versus a wife realizes that she is not dependent on the husband, that the husband is dependent on Krishna, and thereby she is also automatically, and that takes away the false ego of I'm doing versus Ishvara is always doing for all of us the same. But my initial comment / question to you is, in the world, we have seen many times in various aspects of spiritual aspirations to help people come to God, giving knowledge, information, practices, austerities, and ways of worshiping. Yet those aspirations to have people come to God are met with human imperfection. So it's been done all over the world many times by many different faith systems. In this, us aspiring to be, or myself actually aspiring to be Krishna conscious, I reflect more on the difference in the bhakti path being that the care, the loving mood, sharing, friendship, all of that touches the heart, in my opinion, so much easier than many people desiring more knowledge, more power, even if it's spiritual, to use against others. And in this path of bhakti, we hear over and over again that relationship is the power. How we connect with each other, how we share this path of bhakti, how we share that you can actually love God, you can serve God, you can be in different relationships with God. How can we overcome our aspects of imperfections and ego, which in my following different paths and then coming to Krishna consciousness, how can we overcome that to really shine through to others that that's the beauty we each carry that's different than what other systems are using to bring people in. And the ultimate goal is not to control them, but to help them and to show them that God is loving them and that we're here for them. And we're offering you this book, and we may share with you what's in the book, but how caring for each other is the gold. That's the honey. That's the goal. Even in different places, we suffer through each other. In Africa, in America, people in power and positions are using that even in this, it's the age of Kali Yuga, but as Bhakti Yoga practitioners, we're allowing others to suffer, but that's a choice. And how can we really, and I'm sorry for being so long, Maharaj, I am, but I am very passionate and emotional about us overcoming, really seeing how much damage we are doing in places instead of helping, when we are not actually accessing Lord Chaitanya's compassion, mercy, and love, along with that care, that sharing and giving books and knowledge and holding programs. How can we do better, Maharaj, please?
Harinama, Harinama, Harinami Vikevalam. Kaluna Steva, no Steva, no Steva, Gatiranyata. Chinada Pisani, Chena, Tadora Pisi, Shina, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtaniya, Sadahari. We have to do it. Process works, but we can do devotional service in different modes of nature. We can do devotional service in mode of passion. We can do devotional work even in this mode of ignorance. It's a little hard to understand, but and we can do it in the transcendental mode, that only for Krishna's pleasure. And whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever you say, do it for me, Krishna says. Do it as an offering for me. And I saw a Bible verse the other day from Corinthians, said the same thing almost. Whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you do it for me. When we're doing it for Krishna's pleasure, then it'll be fine. If we're doing it for my pleasure, then we'll have all the other complications you're talking about. That's the mode of passion. Also, we have to be careful not to think we know other people's motives, because the spreading of the books, the spreading of the holy name will have effect on people, no matter who's doing it, no matter how we're doing it, it'll still be, the book will get somewhere and somebody will get benefit from it. So we have to try and think, and give up with, selfless service is being stressed. I hear a lot of devotees talking about that. It means that that's for Krishna, not to just, okay, I don't want anything in return. I don't care. I'm homeless. I give up all attachment. I don't care about the results. But that we're doing it for someone else's pleasure, which is ultimately Krishna's pleasure. All right.
Thank you, Maharaj. Kavicandra, Prabhu, please unmute.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj, for your wonderful lecture on the and the answers you have given to all the questions. My own is that it is based on the last answer you gave about doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. We have seen in the course of growing up in devotional service that yeah, we have been hearing about doing for Krishna, and we can see around and experience around that actually when people are acting, they don't remember Krishna. They only care about themselves. And it makes it difficult to even please the other person. Because Krishna, for many of us who are not pure in consciousness or impure in heart, Krishna is more like abstract. And we have seen many a times where even devotees, they stay in the temple with Krishna. Even Krishna is in the altar and they are committing offenses very close to the altar. So Krishna looks very abstract. Like I remember the other time, Guru Maharaj, you gave a lecture and you were talking about the Japan devotees. And you were saying how the Japan devotees, the way they were behaving, and later you asked them to go to the Jehovah's Witness, the way they behave with each other. And you ask them, is that person also not a Japanese? So the way the Jehovah's Witnesses relate with each other, even though they don't know about Krishna, they don't know about God, but they are very personal with each other. So I don't know how, yes, the ultimate of Krishna consciousness is to please Krishna, to please our Guru. It's even more practical to please Guru than to praise Krishna, because you can see Krishna. Because Krishna is more abstract in many of us, eyes. Okay, Krishna. Even I've come across many devotees. They even believe that Krishna is Indian God. They have not even come to that, to understand that Krishna is the supreme personality of God, even though they have been in the movement for many years. So it makes it more even difficult for doing something for pleasing Krishna. So how practical can we make Krishna, how we can make our activity more pleasing to Guru and Krishna? That is my question. So I'm sorry, Guru Maharaj, for speaking long.
Well, you have to quit criticizing devotees. And, physician, heal thyself, right? You know that saying? You're born from Christian back. No, maybe you didn't have it. The Bible is famous. Physician, heal thyself. Quit complaining about everyone else. Like myself. I remember when I was in Bombay, and I knew about that jaundice disease. And so I started telling all the devotees, you better go to the doctor. You look yellow. You look like you have jaundice, And I was serious, they did look yellow. Everybody looked sick, And then Sridhar Swami told me, that's one of the symptoms of jaundice, that everything looks yellow to you. So they took a couple of us to the doctor, and I had it worse than anybody. So, everybody looked yellow. But it was because I was sick. You understand? So,
Guru Maharaj, yes, Guru Maharaj.
So, Atmavan Manyate Jagat. And Gandhi said, be the change you want everyone else to be. You do it and others will follow. Not everybody will follow. Not everybody will be perfect. And what I said about Japan was about greeting guests. Devotees, like I've heard of someone, especially in some of the bigger temples in America or something, somebody approaches a guest at the Sunday feast, and the guest says, I've been coming here for 2 years and you're the first one that ever talked to me. Because we tend to think, oh, that, you know, that person's coming every week and somehow they just like it, but, you know, we're not. So what I told him about the Jehovah's Witness, I said, when the guest comes, you have to greet them and be really friendly and, you know, ask them, how are you and what's your name? And they were saying Japanese don't do like that. Japanese tend to be quite formal, and at the most, if it's your job or something, they'll bow down, you know, formally, but they don't, they said. So then they went to the Jehovah Witness, and as soon as they walked in the door, you know, somebody greeted him and saying, oh, my name is Kumar, or, you know, my name is whatever their name is. And please, you know, so glad you came. What's your name? And please, you can sit next to me over here. And, you know, if you have any questions, and we'd love to see you again. And please give me your name and number, and right. So they were shocked because it was all Japanese people doing that. And they've become a lot better at doing that, but, you know. So that's how we have to be that with each other too, concerned about each other, you know, making friends, not just, you know, being together. And not looking out for everyone else's offense, but physician, heal thyself, you know. Before you accuse me, take a look at yourself. You know, that's a song I remember from the old days, listening to devotional music. They know a lot, you know, these poets, and they understand the world, they understand all the problems, they just don't know any solution. You know, you do the right thing, others, you'll influence others to follow. If you're criticizing others, you'll teach others, new devotees, to do that also.
Do marriage.
Senior devotees are quarreling over this and that and thinking that I'm the only one that's trying to help the Sankirtan movement, but actually it's just a personal, you know, quarrels. Then the young devotees learn that, or they leave. They go join someplace that they may not have knowledge of Krishna playing a flute and herding cows, but they have faith in God. They know there's a superior God. They know they're servants. And that therefore they get along with each other and they can live more comfortably, you know. All right. It's an important question, but you know, these are going
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
We're Kanishta. We have to get out from the Kanishta platform. That's why this information is there in the scriptures. What is Kanishta? What is Madhyam? What is this? What is that? So we can get out of it. So we can know where we are and how, when we know we're lost, we can get out. We can change. We know what we should be.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, concerning my comment earlier, I just, okay, Krishna, I'll be with you in a minute. I just wanted to share with the devotees that at the appropriate time, I will personally share with all the devotees what is going on in Ghana. Is that it's called land issue. And every devotee, at least on this platform today, I believe is not less than 7 years in devotional service. So everybody will read and then take their own key. And I'm not writing to urge anybody to take any stance. just read and know what's going on. If I have to fight single-handedly, I will do that. And I'm actually doing that. And I'll continue to do that. But I just want the devotees to know about what's going on. And I'm going to do that at appropriate time. Okay, Hare Krishna. Kusha Prabhu, please unmute.
Akshan Guru Maharaj, I just wanted to know, you mentioned last time you will come to Africa in this month, May. When you are coming, which country you are coming first?
I'm on my way, but I can't say exactly when.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, it's old age and different diseases and different things, just trying to get ready. And so I feel like I can survive. That's coming to that point now where I'm feeling safe. So.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else with anything to say before Maharaj leaves? Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, whoever's organizing this, Kusa and others, that we're having these classes every day. We've been having Bhakti Vaibhav and Bhakti Shastra, and I hope everybody takes it seriously.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
All
So
right.
we ask our devotees to kindly unmute yourselves. So let's chant Hare Krishna to Maharaj for coming, please.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Anjana Patarubhyascha
Panchakatari,
Kripasinubhya
Vikasena,
Vaishnavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
All glories to His Holiness Maharaj Ki.
Jai.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Brother?
Krishna,
Hare Krishna?
Hare
Look at G. Look at baby.
Hare Rama,
Anybody hear me?
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Nichana.
Hare Krishna, brother. Wow.
Hare Krishna.
What you said, I'm like, I mean, and Salika's Prabhu's head is not visible. That's what I was talking about. That's why I said, where is he?
Salika.
It's like so strange.
Okay.
He's doing all these mystical cities, and I don't know what's going on.
Sahadev.
What happened is that